Those of you who have been following me for a while, you remember that there's 4 areas to your transformation. This was like so ingrained in the conversation today with a client. So it was just like reminding there are 4 phases to that self-leadership, that transformation into that next, if you want to call it the next, I like calling it your future self. That's what I like calling it. What do you get to have when you become your future self? That's what each person has to answer for themselves. But to remember that there's 4 phases, and awareness is phase 1. We are all acutely aware right now of either what we didn't know, or what we definitely know that we don't like, or what's definitely happening that is not okay with us. Okay, so awareness is always phase 1, right? That's where your mindfulness comes in, or having being able to switch your mindset. That's where meditation comes in. That's all in the awareness phase, okay? Acceptance is phase 2. Acceptance is where you hit compassion. If you can be aware of whatever it is that you don't like about yourself, about somebody else, your own patterns, your own behavior, understand you are now aware. And if you can do that and move into being in acceptance of it, so that then you go into compassion, that is the deepest level of healing. But now that's where most people get stuck, between phase 2 and phase 3. So remember, there's 4 phases. Awareness is phase 1. Acceptance is phase 2. This is all self-love, healing, mindfulness, mindset. That's all in the first 2 phases. The second phases are what help you in true transformational leadership. And this is at least the graph that I've created, okay? So maybe other people have created it in a different way. This is how I teach. This is my formula. This is my method for creating that leadership or self-leadership. Alignment is phase 3. You cannot move into what you want next until you align to it. Meaning, what is that like? You have to get into your own alignment. You have to re-regulate, if you will, right? That's another technical term for it. And so there's different specifics that are in each one of these phases, right? If you know, and you worked with me, you already know. I'm just giving you kind of the overview. You cannot, unless you're internally aligned. Okay, we can bring in some of the woo, some of the chakras. If your chakras are out of alignment, everybody knows what happens. Everybody knows what happens. Chaos ensues inside. Okay, so you have to bring yourself back into regulation, but you also have to literally align with the new thing that you want. So this is where change starts happening. This is when growth starts taking place, because you actually get more into what you want. If you don't know what you want, it's kind of like aiming. It's like going with a bow and an arrow. If you don't aim for something, you aren't, what are you gonna shoot? How are you gonna, right? If you don't know what you want, you don't know what you're aiming to, and there's no alignment, you'll hit something, but it'll be out of alignment. And so much energy trying to recalibrate and backtrack. When you take action with things that are not in alignment, you go after things that are not in alignment, it's just a pain in the butt. It takes way more time. It pulls you out all of the things, everything goes wrong. The 4th phase is actualization. This is self-actualization. This is when integration. This is when you basically own it. You don't talk about it. It's not just mindset and a principle. It's not just shifting a mindset, because that's still just knowledge. It's talk, but you don't own it. You don't embody it. Full transformation happens when you own it and you embody it, and that self-actualization takes place. Those 4 phases have to take place. I want to say that collectively, we're in awareness. We might be bordering on some acceptance, okay? There might be some compassion happening, okay? There might be some there. But we don't want to get stuck there, because if you just have compassion and you don't create something new, you don't align for creating something new to actually bring forth the new desired state, way of being, relationship, whatever that is for you, nothing gets created. Nothing changes. It's still just talk, and nobody's walking the walk. So some people are really good at just keep talking it and sounding like they know what they're talking about, but not walking the walk. And that was a big piece of a lot of the conversations on my client calls this week. It's like, okay, are you gonna intellectualize it? You're gonna keep talking about it? Or are you gonna actually like put the shit into action and put it into practice so that you can be somebody that walks the walk? A true love leader walks the walk. That's integrity. You can't say you're gonna do something and say you're gonna act a certain way and then go on social media and start bad mouthing people and act. That's not it. That's not it. So there's a lot of hypocrisy that can happen. And everybody gets to be accountable for themselves. How are we going to hold anybody else accountable? We have to hold ourselves accountable at the value and the integrity that we say that we want and the standards that we say that we want. And you can't have a standard or set of value for any other kind of relationship that you want to co-create if you're not keeping that same level for yourself. And I'm saying this to you because I know you already know this. And for anybody that ends up seeing this that has never watched me before. So if that resonates with you, then I invite you hit the little send button and share this to a friend. If this struck a chord in a positive or inspired you in any way, share it with somebody. Because I'm not the only one talking about it, but the more that we can be having this conversation, I think is way more important than the nitpicky on these like specifics that's not the conversation. That's not the necessary conversation. That's not going to create change. That's not leadership.